Hello and welcome to a live program of World Insight coming to you from Beijing on CGTN. I'm Tian Wei. Qingdao will host the leader of the Shanghai Cooperation Organization for a summit this weekend with newcomers India and Pakistan. What does a bigger membership mean for SCO's reach and influence? I asked the SCO Secretary General Rashid Alimov more in a one-on-one interview later. We also talked to one of the writers of the SCO Blue Book for a look at the highlights of the history and its potential. And at the sidelines of this year's St. Petersburg International Economic Forum, I asked several insiders about the SCO implications of tight-knit relations between China and Russia. Let's begin our program today on the upcoming SCO summit. In 3 days, several world leaders will gather at the Chinese port city of Qingdao. It will be the first time India and Pakistan will take part as full-fledged members. The SCO has become a bigger regional organization with growing influence since its inception 17 years ago. Let's take a look.
The 18th Shanghai Cooperation Organization Summit will take place from June 9 to 10 in Qingdao, a coastal city in East China's Shandong province. It will be the first SCO summit since its expansion in 2017, when India and Pakistan were accepted as full members at the Astana meeting in Kazakhstan. Leaders of the 8 SCO member states and the 4 observer states, as well as heads of international organizations, will attend the summit. The full members at this year's conference are China, Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, Russia, Tajikistan, Uzbekistan, India, and Pakistan. Observers of Afghanistan, Belarus, Iran, and Mongolia will also attend. China will join other SCO members in advocating the Shanghai spirit and discussing measures to fight the 3 evil forces of terrorism, extremism, and separatism, including transnational crimes such as drug trafficking and cybersecurity threats. Security is the bedrock for all SCO member states, but now the common goals expanded to economic and cultural cooperation, with growing engagement in these 3 fields in recent years. The SCO was founded in 2001 with 6 full members. After over a decade of growth and engagement, the SCO has turned into a regional group of global significance. This has made it an attractive bloc for countries to join.
With just a few days ahead of the SCO Qingdao Summit, I talked to the Secretary General of the organization, Mr. Rashid Alimov. He shared with me his confidence in the growth of the SCO with new members and new ideas. He also expects the SCO to play a bigger role and more influential role in having member states work on common goals. Mr. Secretary General, what a pleasure to have you on CGTN. My first question to you, India-Pakistan, very first year to join SCO in the summit as the member countries of SCO. What impact do you think this will have on the overall achievements and also the nature of the meeting and discussion at the SCO summit this year?
First of all, I think the upcoming SCO summit in Qingdao is essential to the development of the organization. We are witnessing the growth of a new, strong regional organization that will influence geopolitics. The SCO covers a vast area of the world, from the Arctic to the Indian Ocean, from the Pacific Ocean to the Baltic. The grouping covers a population of over 3 billion, approximately 44% of the world's total. With the participation of India and Pakistan, the SCO will be even stronger. Most importantly, the goals and principles of the SCO have never changed. Actually, they are becoming even more robust, and the Shanghai spirit is further strengthened. After a year of incorporating new members at the Astana summit, we witnessed enhanced cooperation between SCO members. Although just 365 days, this was a historic year in which many milestones happened. It saw a series of events going on within the framework of the SCO. It also proved that accession of India and Pakistan were the right choices. And the positioning of the SCO has changed too. It is becoming a global organization. First, we have 2 new nuclear states as our members. So among all 8 member states, 4 of them are nuclear states. The other 4 signed a treaty on nuclear weapon-free zone in Central Asia and support denuclearization policies. We also have 2 members that are permanent members of the UN Security Council, Russia and China, and 1 non-permanent member, Kazakhstan, which reflects the growing influence of that country. So the clout of the SCO is increasing on the international stage, and the SCO's capability of addressing complex issues is growing.
Mr. Secretary General, as you may know, Qingdao Summit of the SCO has been occupying the headlines here in China for quite some time. Many wonder, what about China's role, this time as rotating presidency of the SCO, and also its role overall in the SCO?
China took over the role of rotating presidency in July 15, 2017, after the Astana meeting adjourned. A few days later, Foreign Minister Wang Yi published China's work plan in a reception of the SCO. According to the plan, China would host nearly 60 activities within a year. For now, I don't want to jump to any conclusions since there are still a few days ahead before the Qingdao Summit, but I can tell you we have seen over 200 activities so far. I don't mean to stress the number, but these activities do push the cooperation between the SCO members in many areas. For example, they include mutual trust politically between member states, pushed forward the development of partnerships in various levels within the framework, and we've seen China working positively in promoting trade and economic cooperation. In addition to that, China also raised proposals with potential long-term goals. For instance, the first SCO Women's Forum has been strongly touted. Half of the population of SCO members is female. They play important roles in various industries, so the forum is necessary and important. A few days ago, we held the first SCO Media Summit. After the Qingdao Summit, we'll open a movie festival of the SCO. These activities all aims to strengthen our friendship and push for mutual understanding between people. And during the Qingdao Summit, leaders of our member states will review China's performance as rotating president. And I've given many examples on how China has proven itself. Through all these activities, China has won respect from other members, and that sets a good precedent for the SCO's good traditions to be passed on. The SCO is a young organization that provides a great platform for young people. We'll raise a proposal for young people in this year's summit. It is the first time that the youth have been discussed at such a high level. We held a series of activities together with China, and they are specifically designed for young people. They are our future. 20% of the total populations of the SCO countries are aged between 15 to 24 years old. We want them to develop well, to shun extremist thoughts, and to encourage them to take part in the SCO's development. It reminds me of the tree the SCO leaders planted together in Shanghai, which is now flowering. The wish we had when we planted it was that with our efforts, our younger generations can grow up in peace and stability, and they will carry on the baton. Now, the highest consensuses among the SCO leaders are mutual respect, mutual trust, coordinated development, and problems through negotiation. The SCO has demonstrated a great vision, and China will no doubt start a new era for the SCO. In the past year of preparing for the Qingdao Summit, we worked together with partners from India and Pakistan. We believe their contribution will be excellent in the future. The SCO leaders agreed to take on India and Pakistan as new members at the Astana Summit. So this time they will be attending the Qingdao Summit as official members. They will carry out the charter of the Shanghai Cooperation Organization, adhere to the Shanghai spirit, and comply with the Treaty on Long-Term Good Neighborliness, Friendship, and Cooperation. The two countries have great influence not only in Asia, but also worldwide. On the one hand, India has great economic potential. On the other hand, the two neighbors are actively fighting terrorism and extremism. Their participation is significant. To me, the 20 documents the SCO members are going to sign will be pivotal to regional stability and security. After the summit, all parties will take measures to boost development and cement the principles established during the past 17 years according to the Shanghai spirit. And it's to the cooperation among 8 SCO member states.
Mr. Secretary General, China has been advocating, particularly Chinese President Xi Jinping, has been talking about the community of shared future. How do you think that concept is being played out among member countries of the SCO? What has SCO done, and what is your plan for the future when it comes to a mission of shared future?
This is a good question. President Xi's proposal echoes with the principles of the Shanghai spirit. It is based on the Treaty on Long-Term Good Neighborliness, Friendship and Cooperation. By the way, the Qingdao Summit will mark 5 years since the treaty was enacted. It will sure influence the development of the SCO in the next 5 years, and it serves the SCO's 2025 development strategy. As to the community of a shared future for mankind, all of us live in an immense global village. If you take a bird's eye view of the SCO, it is neither large nor small. At the same time, we've done a lot of things in the past years to bring people closer, to find common development goals, and to boost dialogue between different countries, cultures, and civilizations. So we absolutely have forged closer ties with better mutual understanding. The SCO's achievement on diversifying their economies rests on their capability of listening to each other. We managed to integrate the interests of each country into the overall interests of the entire organization. So actually the community of a shared future for mankind perfectly interprets the Shanghai spirit. Because when we talk about coordinated development, the first thing to come to mind is that we are connected. On a realistic note, the world is undergoing an era of transition when new international relations are forming. Economic and trade development are in flux. Countries are interdependent and complementary to each other. No doubt the idea of the community of a shared future for mankind helps rid countries of isolation. And those who advocate for isolationism will lose. With such a backdrop, the SCO's proposal for a common destiny sets an example for how nations can develop together, especially to fight international terrorism and extremism, tackle crimes such as drug trafficking, and to coordinate economic development. We've seen leaders paying great attention to coordinated development. In principle, that is what I understand about President Xi's the community of a shared future for mankind. A common destiny means common responsibility we shoulder for a common future.
Secretary General Alimov of the Shanghai Cooperation Organization. You're watching World Insight with me, Tian Wei. Still to come on our program. The Shanghai Cooperation Organization will come out this year with the Blue Book of the activities of a 17-year history. So I talked to one of the writers of that book to find out what exactly it is going to be about. And we talked to some of the key newsmakers from the St. Petersburg Economic Forum about the roles of SCO. Those coming right up.
The world is changing fast, taking all our lives with it. But we can change it too, by seeking answers to problems through discussions and debates. On World Insight, I ask direct questions to real people in the know, seek genuine answers, but respect diverse perspectives. Our live global debates tackle the most critical issues head-on. World Insight with Tian Wei. Go beyond the headline.
Welcome back. You're still watching World Insight with me, Tian Wei, coming to you Monday to Friday on CGTN. The Shanghai Cooperation Organization Blue Book is about to be published later this year. The book reviews the SCO achievements in politics, security, economy, and cooperation in the humanities over the past 17 years, and also maps out prospects for the SCO. For this year's Blue Book, I talked to one of the authors, Zhao Zhen, Associate Research Fellow from the China Institute of International Studies. She took part in writing the book. Based on her experience, we talk about what does it mean to be part of the SCO. Take a listen. I know you and your colleague are working on a Blue Book regarding the development of SCO over the past decade. From history, how do you see its role so far? And what are you going to write in the Blue Book?
The Shanghai Cooperation Organization is very young but it's an energetic organization. In the past 70 years, since its establishment, the SCO has made great progress in economic security and humanitarian cooperation. In sphere of security cooperation, I can give you a data. The RATS, that is namely the Regional Anti-Terrorism Structure, has destroyed more than 500 terrorist camps, have arrested more than 2,000 terrorists, and has prevented hundreds of attempted terrorist attacks. And in the sphere of economic cooperation, although the multilateral economic cooperation a little bit lag behind the security cooperation, but we can see there's a very obvious increase in the trade volume between the member states. There are more free flow of goods, technology, human, and flow among the member states.
But the question is, how fast will the economic and trade cooperation catch up with the security cooperation, which was originally in the goals of the SCO from the very beginning? What do you think, Ms. Zhao?
I think currently it's a little bit lag behind the security cooperation, but I think the economic cooperation is the focus of the SCO in the next few years. And with the inclusion of India and Pakistan, I think their inclusion will inject new impetus to the multilateral economic cooperation. Besides, after China come up with the Belt and Road Initiative, and I think the SCO can serve as a very important platform for the OBOR cooperation.
Within the SCO, there are 3 emerging economies, particularly China and Russia, as India just joined. So over the years, when you're looking at 17 years of history of SCO, what have you found out in your blue book about China and Russia's role and their interactions within the organization?
China and Russia, their strategic cooperation, their coordination are so important that I say if there's no strategic cooperation between China and Russia, there will be no SCO at all, because the SCO itself is a result of the strategic coordination between China and Russia. Let me give you an example. The predecessor of the SCO, the Shanghai Five mechanism, is originated from the border talks between China as one side and Russia and other 3 Central Asian countries on the other side. And in the process of the SCO development, China and Russia has naturally become the engine of the SCO. They come up with a lot of initiatives, and I have to say that although China and Russia, their national interests are not always come in line with each other, but there are so many overlapping interests between the 2 countries within the region.
What are the biggest ones, you think?
I think it's to keep the peace and stability in Central Asia. That is the biggest one. And China and Russia can always find a way to coordinate their own interests, to find a common ground. For example, in 2015, when Chinese President Xi Jinping visited Moscow, and he and Russian President Vladimir Putin has come up with a joint statement to link China-initiated Silk Road economic belt with Russia-led Eurasian Economic Union. I think that's very important. That's a very good example.
If you look at history, the cooperation between BRI and the EU is taking place on the platform of SCO. But the question is, will that be the most important platform?
Since the SCO is a very open organization, it's not the only platform for the link of BRI and the EU. It also can serve as the platform for the other member states to come up with their own plans and their initiatives as well, like India and Pakistan.
Over the past 17 years, what has been China's role within the SCO?
The SCO is the first international organization ever named after a Chinese city. And the establishment and development of the SCO has also simplified China's role in the international system. It's transforming from the participant, a recipient, to the contributor, to the builder of the international system. I think China has not only provided the SCO with some new cooperation concepts like the Shanghai Spirit. China has also come up with many concrete initiatives, projects like the Shanghai Development Bank, like the Shanghai Cooperation Organization, FTA. And China has also shouldered a lot of responsibilities and provide some public goods to the SCO as well, like we provide a lot of scholarships for the students, something like that.
Look at the 17-year history of SCO, even though it's still short compared to some of the other international platforms. But you look at what has been the gains and experiences of SCO, probably could help us understand the prospect. What do you think is the biggest takeaway?
Yeah, you are right that the Shanghai Cooperation Organization is a very young organization, but I believe it will have a very bright future. It will emerge as one of the polars in the future multipolar world, and it will have a special role in the future global governance. Why I say that? Because of the SCO, it has its unique concept, which is the Shanghai Spirit. When I was doing my job, I met with a lot of politicians, scholars, and other students from the other SCO member states. They told me that what impressed them most is within the framework of Shanghai Cooperation Organization, all countries, no matter they are big or small, every country has the equal say. I think that's the charm of the SCO. That's why I believe it will make bigger progress in the future.
You're watching World Insight. Later this week, Russian President Vladimir Putin will visit China and take part in this year's Shanghai Cooperation Organization Summit in Qingdao. In recent years, relations between China and Russia have blossomed under the leadership of Chinese President Xi Jinping and Russian President Vladimir Putin. So how will close-knit ties play out in this year's SCO Summit? At the sideline of this year's St. Petersburg International Economic Forum, I asked some insiders about their SCO observations and expectations. Let's listen in. People wonder, though, Mr. Secretary General, what exactly is the nature of this bilateral relations now, Russia and China, particularly current stage?
Well, China and Russia, they are very close neighbors, and also they're major emerging market economies in the world. They make, I think, their own contributions to the world growth, and also in their own ways, they promote the peace, stability, and also the development with their bilateral ties with other countries in the world. There are many ways that both countries can work together to make contributions to peace, stability. Both countries, they are the permanent members of the Security Council, so they worked very hard to safeguard the role and authority of the UN, and also to uphold the UN Charter.
Are you talking about Syria? Are you talking about DPRK? Are you talking about what exactly are you referring to?
On these, hotspot issues, both countries work very closely with each other, and to give solutions, to make contribution to the solutions of regional and international hotspot issues, as the issues you mentioned, Syria, and also DPRK nuclear issue.
You served in the UN as the ambassador to the UN for quite some time. What is your working relationship with the Russian ambassador to the UN? How is that consultation going on between the two of you?
You know, we have very close consultation with our Russian colleagues and also with other countries, members of Security Council, and so there's regular consultations, and you know, UN is a very, very special forum.
Yes.
And it's not just a talk shop. So sometimes you have to come up with some idea to maybe form, to develop a Security Council resolution. So there must be very close consultations among all the members of Security Council. But it's extremely important that China and Russia, you know, be together. And we look at that things from different perspectives, but with one goal. That is to provide a good solution to address the international issues, to promote peace, stability in the world. And China and Russia also major players, and also the members of G20, BRICS, and also APEC. And strongly, vigorously, both countries advocate the free trade, open economy, and believe in that multilateral trading system. So we believe that both countries, by working together, we can make contribution to world peace, stability, and common development.
Russia has this Eurasian Economic Community. China originally proposed the idea of Belt and Road Initiative. It is supposed to be a global connectivity. So what about the link between the two? And some say there are some difficulties implementing the idea into real projects on the ground. What is your thought, Mr. Secretary General?
Well, you know, let's talk about the challenges.
Okay.
And what, you know, may the challenges be. In my view, the growing protectionism and unilateralism, you know, they are endangering the world economic recovery and undermining multilateral trading system with WTO at its core, impose a threat, you know, to the world, to the countries in the world. So I think China, Russia, as a major economies in the world, should work together.
I see.
To safeguard the multilateral trading regime, and also uphold the open economy and fight protectionism.
You think they're going to do it? I mean, Mr. Secretary General, as I said earlier, state visit by Russian president to China likely, and then SCO summit, Chinese president going to interact with the Russian president, of course, during that occasion. Are they likely to focus on what you have just talked about, to be able to safeguard multilateralism as China and Russia work together, Mr. Secretary General?
Yes, I think that's always, you know, on the agenda of the meetings between the two leaders, you know, between President Putin and also President Xi Jinping, because both countries, you know, have a worldwide vision.
Yes.
And every country, small or big in the world, has a role to play on the international stage. And major countries should take responsibility, make more contribution to the peace, stability, security, development in the world. China, Russia, the two countries are on that track. So I'm very confident in the relationship between the two countries. I think this relationship, you know, can benefit the peace, stability, and also the development in the world.
Now, Mr. Secretary General, as you may know, China is in full gear preparing for the SCO, the Shanghai Cooperation Organization Summit in Qingdao early June. I mean, now I understand you're working as the Secretary General of the Global Forum for Asia, but still, as a seasoned diplomat, as someone who has devoted decades of your time on multilateral platforms, what do you think could be some of the key for success when it comes to this SCO summit?
I think that good world governance, economy, and counter-terrorism, these important international issues will be on the agenda. And I think just now we talk about how people they look at the world situation. So good governance for the globe is very, very important. So that the pillar rule of law is the pillar of globalization, is global governance, good governance. How people think about the governance, how effective that the global governance can be. So this is the question must be answered. There must be solutions. So we got to to bring people together and make sure that we have good understanding what is the rule of law for the international order, and how can we come up with ideas to strengthen the good governance of the world. So this is something I think we expect answers from Qingdao.
What is this nature of partnership between China and Russia? Probably you could help us to understand better. I mean, if you see China and the United States is having a trade dispute, even though some people could even use the exaggerated term trade war, you also see United States and Russia not necessarily on a great term. There are still sanctions unilaterally coming from one country to one another. So what exactly is the nature of relationship between China and Russia today? Is that sustainable?
Well, I think there are many levels. First of all, we have great relation between our leadership,
yes.
And this is based, I believe, on respect. And respect is very important because, when we look at a situation, we don't try to go and punish somebody. We go and try to understand what are the issues, how we can solve it, what is the way to address it, etc. And we believe it's by far better approach. If U.S. feels it's so strong, it can go and punish people left and right, frankly, it's not very sustainable. I believe what's very good about Russia-China relationship, it's based on mutual respect, it's based on dialogue, it's based on, if you don't agree on something, let's discuss why and find a compromise, and that's the way for the future.
One of the most important questions I need to ask you is about the upcoming presidential visit of Russia to China, and later follow up by the summit of the SCO, Shanghai Cooperation Organization. I understand you are accompanying your president to China. What is going to be the mission for this time? Because the two leaders, China and Russia, meet pretty often, one could see. What is going to be the mission this time, particularly at a time when so much uncertainty around us?
Yeah, well, of course, there are geopolitical issues and political issues because there are lots of conflicts in the world, including the Korean issue, the Iran issue, and I think there will be a dialogue on geopolitics, which is very important for stability. But there's definitely going to be a very strong dialogue on trade and investments.
Yes. And
investments is a big part. We have Russia-China Fund has been investing quite a bit, and we need more successful Russian-China projects. And we are building the first bridge between Russia and China, but literally maybe we have 30 projects right now that are going on Russia-China. We need to have 300. And I think the really big important question is how do you scale up the investment engagement? How do we actually get China to be much more of a invest in Russian infrastructure and other things like that?
How? What is the solution, you think?
Well, I think the solution is having success stories like we have with Russia-China Fund. I think it's having institutions such as RDIF to be a good local partner, and it's the macroeconomic stability that Russia provides and really understanding of that by Chinese investors.
Shanghai Cooperation Organization, that's also where the president is going to do and also going to go for the summit. That also has a lot to do with trade and economic ties these days, beyond what used to be only security issues. So if I could ask you about the potential of that platform for Russia, what would you say?
I think it's very important. And it's based on dialogue, it's based on inclusivity, it's based on working with different countries in the region.
Yes.
So I think that dialogue and importance has been growing. Lots of One Belt, One Road initiatives are also being discussed and that's
and Eurasian Economic
Union integration. So it's a very good platform to discuss economic inclusivity in the region.
You think the president will have a lot of proposals for his Chinese counterpart?
Well, I think it's about Eurasia Union with One Belt, One Road initiatives. There will be a number of proposals.
Mr. President, you see the key members of the New Development Bank are also becoming key members of many of the regional and international platforms. Shanghai Cooperation Organization, for example, which is likely to hold their annual summit very soon in early June. How do you see the three countries, China, Russia, and India, who are now members of SCO, going to interact on so many different kinds of forums and platforms vis-a-vis that of the New Development Bank?
Yeah, see, as of now, our platform is slightly different. But I take the point that you're making, and as far as we are concerned, what we need to do is understand, what our leadership wants in the context of the SCO. I think that process is going on. We have not yet understood this. And once we understand that, we will then take the next steps that might be required in our context. But frankly, I think we are in a learning stage on that to understand from our leaders. As you said, three countries are involved there.
Yes.
And what is the relationship that is evolving.
Yeah, and New Development Bank, by the way, Mr. President, is dealing with the infrastructure building funding and many of the other development projects. But you see regional organizations like ICO or some of the others also taking on new roles. Not just about security anymore, not just about anti-terrorism anymore, but economic and trade links as well, financial included. So probably you're going to have more competitors?
Yeah, not really. In a sense, my experience has been that things happen very quickly in certain areas. So when funding is in place, things happen. When funding is not in place, it's very difficult. Now, again, I would think that even within the BRICS, NDB could move forward because there was a clear funding agenda and you would.
Exactly.
But the rest of it requires much more hard work. They are doing that, and I'm sure they will see the fruits as we go by. So in the other groupings, other than free trade, where things move fast in certain contexts, but again that is being revisited in a different context. The rest of the places, I think it takes a little time to develop. So in any case, our objective is to, in anything that happens, to be a catalyst. So I would try to drive NDB to a role where even if there is activity that happens at other ends, how can we be a catalyst in that activity? Because it is for the common good.
Well, that is all the time we have for today's special of the SCO. If you'd like to see more, try to find us World Insight CGTN into your search engine or check out our YouTube channel. Also follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and Sina Weibo. From me, Tian Wei, and everyone on the World Insight team, thanks for watching, and tune in again next time for insights across China and around the world. Good night.